Hello YouTubers, this is the Noobifier. Today I'm going to take you through the disassembly, adjustment options, tuning, and assembly of the Virpil Warbird base. I recently did a full review of the new Virpil products, which is linked up for you right now. Unlike the MT50 base, the Warbird has a double cam, single spring per axis. To work on the base you're going to need a 2.5 and a 4mm Allen driver, some 8mm sockets, and or some 8mm wrenches. Rather than constantly saying carefully remove or carefully place, I'm going to say it once, the build quality is strong, but there's exposed calibrated electronics here. I decided to remove the base fully from the mounting solution, and then I also decided to remove the gimbal from the housing. If you have a well-lit, clean place to work, this process is going to be a lot easier. Let's begin with a rundown of the choices. Today I'm going to be switching out from cam number 1 with a light spring to cam number 2 with a light spring. You may run two pairs of the same cam. You may run pairs of dissimilar cams on two axes. You should not try mixing cams on the same axis. The cams are identified by bumps. One bump is the Cosmosim cam. This offers a smooth progressive resistance. 2 bump is a progressive cam with a soft center. 3 bump offers more resistance near the edges and has the least prominent center bump. With these 3 options, there's also 2 choices of spring. The dark spring is stronger than the silver spring. It's up to you to test and choose. It might take some time, but the payout is that the controller is going to be tuned to perform exactly the way you want. You begin by removing the base from the mounting solution, in this case 2 long cap screws held on with a 4mm Allen and an 8mm nut. I use a magnetic parts bowl to keep track of the parts. Remove the 4 cap screws from the base, releasing the cover and the mount. Wiggle the cord grommet free of the base body. Remove the top 4 2.5mm cap screws and pull the gimbal out of the body, ensuring to track the very thin USB wires. Remove the small plug, separating the gimbal completely. The brown-colored PCBs are the frictionless sensors. They're durable, but I wouldn't suggest touching them if possible. The cams are held in place by an 8mm bolt and a nylon lock nut. The nut should be snug, but there's no reason to apply a huge amount of torque to tighten it. It needs to move without binding. Use needle nose pliers or a very small screwdriver to remove one hooked end of the spring. Now, using either 2 8mm wrenches or a wrench and socket, remove the lock nut, exchange the cam, and then tighten the nut again. Repeat this for the other side. Check to make sure that the cams move freely without binding. Replace the spring with the one you like. This can be repeated on the other axis. The process is identical. Check to make sure everything's correct and prepare to reassemble. On the housing, pass the USB wire from the notch side to the flat side. Plug in the connector with the guide side up. Do not force this plug. Hand thread 4 screws into the top, making sure that they're threaded properly. Once you're happy, thread them fully with a 2.5mm Allen. Once those are snug, position the wire in such a way to ensure it's not going to get caught in any of the moving parts. Put the wired guide back into the wired guide slot. Reattach the base plate and then attach all of this back onto the mounting solution with 4mm cap screws and the 8mm nut. And that's it. Now I would suggest you calibrate the range and the center point using the software, as you've replaced major components. I thought I'd close out by mentioning that the extension set is completely compatible with the Warbird base. When you're using them, you may like to start with a stiffer spring. During my testing, I found the extra mass and leverage overwhelmed the silver spring. Thanks very much for spending your time with me. Please check out the full review of the Warbird base and the Delta Grip, plus my review of the MT50 base, which was done a couple months ago. Please ask me any questions you have. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.